I hope you're well. One of the questions that comes up fairly regularly about the 10-minute workshop loose tenon jig is, can you use it to join a couple of boards with miters, with bevels on them? And the truth is, I don't know. It was never designed for that, and I've never tried it, to be perfectly honest. So in this video, we're going to have a quick go at that and see if we can make it work. Before we get to that, I did say in last week's video that there's no assembly guide for this, because it really is very straightforward. One thing I did want to mention is, when you do join the two halves together, you've just got to nip these machine screws up just tightly enough to get it to bite, to give you a nice firm connection, so you get this sort of L shape between the two. Don't over tighten them. If you over tighten them, you could run the risk of stripping the threads inside the smaller half of the jig, and that would make you sad. You're joining me partway into the project. I've already cut the board that I'm going to use with a bevel, with a miter. And that's all looking pretty good. I've marked that up in pencil where we want the mortises to go. And fairly obviously you can't use the jig in its sort of L shape to do that, so you've got to strip out the two parts. I'm going to use, I've only got actually one branded version of this jig, so I'm going to use a prototype of this, because I think I might have to screw it down. So clearly I need some way to get that located here, some sort of jig to mount this to. And what I've done is I've already cut a few sections of MDF at 45 degrees. That'll give me enough of a bed, I think, to secure that to somehow. I think I might have to screw it down, to be honest. I don't think I'm going to be able to glue it. But anyway, we'll get this made, and we'll cross that one when we come to it. I'm just going to do this with double-sided tape, but I will put a few nails in there just to make sure that it doesn't get all squirrely. Okay, so that's an ugly hack, if ever there was one. I'll just put a centre line on this, just for my own kind of peace of mind. So, I've done a little bit of experimentation, and when you put a 5x30mm loose tenon in on a bevel like this, you don't actually have that much space to get it in there. It needs to be much higher up the bevel than you think, and with a little bit of experimentation it looks like it's about 20mm, maybe a little bit more. So we'll give ourselves a 20mm line on our board. So we've got something to work to. So that's interesting. It comes up almost exactly where the shoulders are on the jig, where it just touches the top edge of the 4 layers of 18mm MDF. So that's what I'll do. And I think I can just about get a screw through the existing hole, so that's good. I'll put a bit of double-sided tape on that just to keep it all in line, and I'll get a couple of screws in there to keep it together. And I can line those top shoulders up. It's fairly obviously, it's got to be absolutely dead level. You can't have it skewy at all. Get that lined up on the centre. Get the shoulders lined up as well. And we'll get a couple of screws in there too. Again, you don't need to go mad with this. Just enough to knit that up tightly. Make sure it's not going to move around when you make your mortises. So that's the ugliest, hackiest lash up you've ever seen. Let's see if it works. Alright, so that works out pretty well. We can align this pretty easily against the pencil mark. We need to clamp the jig and the workpiece down so we can do... Ooh. Kidding me? Again, two birds with one stone there. There's that. A little balance board here. So router's still set up from before. Router's still set up from before. Why is it so dark? We need a bit of hose and a bit of power. One thing I have found when using the loose tenon jig is that if you want the tightest joints, it's best to make your plunge in a to maximum depth and make your plunge in a single pass, make your cut in a single pass. I'll get into this in a future video, but every router, even the top quality ones like this, suffer from a certain amount of run out of wobble. If you do it in little nibbles, you won't get such a tight joint. There we are. That's deep enough. Yep. Looks about it. So now we do the whole thing in reverse. This slides over here. To the second position. That clamps down there. Clamps down there. the same again. So for this one, fairly obviously we're using the wider slot because the narrow slot is formed by using the top half of this jig. I'm actually just going to pop in a couple of little bits, 3mm or so bits of plywood that I've cut earlier on the bandsaw. And they should make for a narrow fitting. And that should just be enough to restrict the movement of the guide bush to make it a narrower fitting. Let's see if that works. Snug. Okay, so moment of truth time. They go in there very snugly. I'm not sure they're quite deep enough. I need to revise that. I don't know. Tell you, that's not half bad. Wow, that is very impressive, I've got to say. I didn't think that would work that well. That's plenty tight enough. Obviously, you've got to get your bevels, your miters sorted. But that is very, very impressive. Couldn't wish for a cleaner mitre. Bit of glue on that, and you have no problems whatsoever. So there you go, one of the ugliest, hackiest, lashed together things you've ever seen. All of double-sided tape and nails, but it works really well. I'm very pleasantly surprised with that. I didn't think it would be that easy. Never really used the router on a 45-degree bevel like that. No issues with that at all. Great joint, of course, coming off the Vestor CSC 650 saw, but very good. Absolutely no problems whatsoever with that. I'm going to leave it unglued because I want to feature that on the thumbnail. But yeah, I'd have no problems whatsoever gluing that together. And I'm really, really pleased with how that's worked out. I'll call this one done for now, though. Thank you so much for taking a look. As always, thank you very much to all of my 10-Minute Workshop Plus members for their amazing patience and incredible support. Thank you too to everybody who's placed an order or a pre-order for the Loose Tenon Jig 30. They'll be the second batch of those will be coming through in August, and you'll get a notification in the usual way when they start shipping. This is going to be my last video for a couple of weeks, maybe 3. 10-Minute Workshop Plus members know that sadly my father passed away recently, so I'm going to be offline for a bit, dealing with family stuff. So that's me done for now, though. Thank you ever so much for taking a look, and I'll see you again as soon as I can. All right, take care.